Hey there nerds, Matt Lieberman here. Last summer, Mr. Robot was the biggest smash hit about hacking, paranoia, resisting the man, visual and narrative trickery ever to hit our TV screens. Most of the first season was concerned with hacker Elliot and his fsociety collective hacking Evil Corp in an attempt to erase global debt, effectively resetting our economy and giving the working class a fuller, fairer shot at success. With season 2 right around the corner, I wanted to know if someone or someones were actually able to erase all of our debts, what would happen to society? Would fsociety's dreams of returning power to the people actually help us, or would we actually be worse off than we were before? Now, I'm by no means an expert in economics, but I did my best to get answers. What many people may not realize is that debt as a concept has been around for about 5,000 years, which is fairly new in terms of human history, as Homo sapiens have been around for about 200,000 years. Long before the idea of money ever came about, however, agrarian societies had complex credit systems to aid in trade and barter. Citizens would get a loan of credit from a creditor that they'd use to buy goods that they needed. Until they paid back that loan, they'd be in debt for what they owed. The idea of loans and debt isn't necessarily a bad one. Ideally, people take out loans to help them start businesses or buy homes, stimulating the economy, and then pay back those loans over time. However, when big banks and corporations exploit those debts, or when hefty bad loans like student loans hamper young people before they really enter society, people around the world suffer, leading to potential radical shifts like the fsociety hack. Now, originally, debts were never supposed to be permanent. In fact, ancient Hebrew societies had a concept called Jubilee, where every 7 years the stone tablets used to track debts were destroyed, and every citizen's debts were forgiven. Sounds pretty amazing, right? Essentially, the economy would reset, offering breathing room and forgiveness to those who had fallen on hard times. They may not be able to get another loan for quite some time, but without the heavy debts keeping them down, people could potentially bounce back and keep themselves out of poverty. Which, don't get me wrong, there was plenty of poverty to go around back then, but debt didn't own you for your whole life like it can today. Here's the thing though, today's global economy is wholly based around debt. Money is essentially an IOU. It used to be an IOU for gold. If you wanted, at any time, you could trade in your paper money for what it was worth in gold and you'd have it, a true physical wealth that you could hold. However, in the 60s, President Richard Nixon took the US off the gold standard, and now money, believe it or not, is essentially just someone else's debt. When you deposit money into a bank, it doesn't just sit there gathering real or digital dust until you decide to use it. When banks make loans, that money comes from you. Your deposits get handed out to other people, and the bank hopes that A, they pay it all back, and B, they don't pay it all back too quickly as banks make their profits off of interest. And here's the kicker. Banks don't actually ever have to hold all of your money at any one time. They just have to hold enough that they can cover daily transactions. For example, according to Quora user Gaetan Voyer-Peralt, many banks were leveraged 30-to-1 during 2007's financial crisis. That means that they had on hand 1/30th of the money that was supposed to be deposited in them. If you got rid of all debts, all of them, it would deeply and perhaps irrevocably affect the idea of what money actually is. So if fsociety was able to erase all of the world's debt, what would happen? A mix of good and bad, but mostly bad. The hack would not greatly benefit those below the poverty line, as many banks won't offer them loans as they assume the poor wouldn't be able to pay them back. They don't really have much debt on hand. It would, however, benefit business owners and students with college loans. That's true, it would be a huge relief, as well as people who are suffering from credit card debt. At the same time, though, the rich would largely get richer. The wealthy who invest in packaged debt would lose a lot of money, to be sure, as would bankers. But the upper class largely invests in equity, in shares of companies, some of which would fold in the panic following the hack, but others, companies that had debts of their own which just got erased, would actually see their share prices soar. The rich would just get richer. On top of that, yes, we want to see the corrupt banks pay for years of greed, but if debts can just get erased, they would be far more wary of offering loans to people who still need them to start their business or buy a home. It's still hard to get a job, and sometimes you need more money. At the end of the day, there would be some redistribution of wealth and a lot of chaos, but the revolution that fsociety wanted to bring would end up hurting just as many members of the working and middle class as it helped. But again, I'm not an economist. Maybe you are. How do you think the hack would play out in the real world? Let me know down in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm Matt Lieberman. Thanks for watching.
So in the space station, it's not just like the main Justice League, it's like the extended Justice League, which are like hundreds of people.
Yes, so many
many people.
It's like a whole
also,
society.
how much would it cost to send hundreds of people to space?